and students, I don't recollect any issue which has been debated so much. Almost more than 2 months, still the debate continues to be there, and it is written about practically in every print media. When I was listening to the speech of the Prime Minister, the first thing that struck to me was the likely slowdown on the economy, because I also felt that there is likely to be adverse effect on the consumption. Now, when you look at the data started coming, in the very first month, that is in the November, there has been fall in the overall consumption by 30%. And in fact, the consumable durables fell by 54%, and the number of people who have the habit of going out for dining, that has fell by about 43%. And even on certain sectors, whether it's automobiles or construction sector, there was an adverse effect as a result of demonetisation, and especially in the case of construction sector. The stamp duty collection has come down by 43% in Maharashtra, and the number of registration has gone down by 16.5% in Delhi. Like that, whether you look at the data with regarding the Mohali or Gujarat or any part of the country, there has been fall in the number of registrations for the property. That clearly shows that it has had adverse effect on the construction sector. I was also thinking that it would have an impact on the growth, and even the various estimates made by the experts, it varied in the initial stage, it varied from 7.1 as against the expected 7.6%. Now, of course, people say about 6.8%. But I have not been able to understand on what basis these estimates have been made. In fact, I was not very much impressed when the finance minister came out with the data with regard to the improvement in the tax collections, because I wanted to match it with the data regarding the manufacturing sector's performance. But now that the data is available, in the very first month of the demonetization, that is in the month of November, that is the latest data with regard to the industrial production, the industrial production has gone up by 5.7% as against around 1.5% in the previous month. Of course, it is too early to come to any conclusion, but in the very first month of the demonetization, there has been improvement in the industrial production. It is not just that. The tax excise duty collection has gone up by 43%, because excise duty collection has got a direct link with the industrial production. And when you look at the import has gone up continuously for the third month till December, and in the month of the December, the import has gone up by 4.4%, because that is another indicator, because if the import goes up, That means that the requirement of the import for the manufacturing is improving, and export consecutively for the fourth month, in the month of the December, it has gone up by 5.7%. So the domestic consumption might have come down, but it is wrong to say that it has adversely affected the manufacturing sector or the industrial production. Whatever the negative impact we have experienced in the domestic market, that got offset by the improvement in the international market, since the export has gone up by 5.7%. So it is too early to say whether the demonetization has impacted the growth, let alone its negative impact on employment generation. And it is equally debatable whether a sectors like construction industry, should it be patronized with the support of only the black money, because that is the one sector where the black money circulation is substantially large, where it's involved in the transaction, either to the purchase of the property or the selling of the property. They know that roughly 30% of the money is given in the form of the cash. Should any sector survive with the support of the black money, it is a debatable issue. Now, with regard to the impact in terms of the deposit collections, the already 90%, more than the 90% of the money which was outside the banking system has come back to the banking system. Now, of course, it is IT department the responsibility to probe what is the exact part of that is the black money. But the fact is that the substantial part of the money which was not accounted, which has come back to the banking system, that shows that the government has succeeded in its effort in containing the black money. Of course, this is only one measure is not sufficient. This is one of the measures required to tackle the black money menace. And when the deposit goes up, obviously the rate of interest should come. That is already happened. And that too, without the initiative by the RBI through the appropriate monetary policy support. So normally the interest rate comes down when the RBI initiates the appropriate monetary policy support. Here, without the support, in fact, there was a criticism against the RBI, why the RBI did not cut down the interest rate when it itself accepted that there is likely to be the deceleration in the growth from 7.6 to 7.1%. But RBI is right, because there was no need to give the support from the monetary policy. Without the support from the monetary policy, the interest rate already has come down, because for the banks, keeping the deposit means operational cost going up. In order to recover the operational cost, they have to lend it, and the beneficiary will be the borrowers. Already the inquiry with the SBI has gone up by more than 1 lakh people. So people must be waiting, because since they know that now they started coming down, probably they expect that there will be further fall, and there will be further fall in the property prices. Property prices started coming down. Now people are expecting that there is likely fall in the property prices further, and probably they are thinking of purchasing maybe after some time. So what the government is supposed to do now that it is coming, will come out with the budgetary measures. Now, prior to that, so what is required is instilling the confidence or restoring the confidence among the general public that banking system has got adequate cash, because one of the reasons why people, that is so-called the cash crunch, is not only because of the demonetization, it is also because of the psychological attitude by the people, that is withholding the money. And now that people lack confidence with regard to the adequacy in the, regard to the cash in the hands of the banks, probably RBI and the banking system has to do some measures, because normally, because the currency as a percentage of the GDP is 10.86%, that is roughly 9% velocity. But probably the times like this, probably they have to step up the supply of the currency so that people get the confidence and they start coming to the market with spending in them for the whatever the products they require. With whatever the data available, the revenue collection, as I said, the excise duty collection has gone up by 43%. Now similarly, direct tax collection has gone up by around 20%. Now since the government exchequer is bulging with the cash, I am sure that the government will be in a position to extend the benefit to the general public. One, it may be able to step up the welfare measures expenditure and may be able to give some tax concession to some of the sectors like automobile sector, which got affected due to demonetization. Possibly, the government may also reward the general public by reducing the direct tax rate, especially the income tax rate. It's not that the income tax rate is high, because the maximum income tax is, that is, a 30% plus the surcharges, it comes about 34.5%. And compared to the countries like USA or the China, where there is a minimum tax, whereas we have got the tax exemption up to 2,50,000. In the countries like China, there is a minimum tax of 55% and the 8%, the 0.8%, the minimum tax in countries like US. So the tax rate is not high, and that cannot be the excuse for evading the tax. Comparing to the 1973, when the maximum rate of tax was 97.25%, we have come a long way with the 30%. But still, with the tax collections going up, and also to extend the goodwill of the people, I am sure that the finance minister likely to extend the benefit by either raising the exemption limit and also the cutting down the tax rate. But more than anything else, because whatever the measure has taken, this is only curative in nature. What is required is a preventive measures. And in that, there are many steps are required. Because of the paucity of the time, I will not touch them, but at least I will touch one thing, that is a major cause of the black money generation, both within the corporate sector and in the political system, that is the electoral funding. Unless and until the electoral reform is initiated, about which the Prime Minister has already started a debate, and ideally we should go for a state funding. I don't think that the black money generation can be prevented. See, tackling it once it is generated is one thing, but more than that, we should take a preventive measures in that context, because the neither from the point of view of the beneficiary, that is those parties, political parties or the candidates, they cannot declare, because if they disclose as per the election commission's election law, they get disqualified. And from the point of the donor, like corporate sector, they cannot disclose how much they donated, because if they disclose because of the what you call the unhealthy political culture, unlike the countries like US, where they have got a healthy democracy, here if the other parties come to know that corporate sector donated so much to that and such parties, they will be vindictive if they come to the power. So it is from the both the side, receiver as well as the donor, it is a convenient to give it in cash and not to disclose it. So I think that is the one major step the government has to take. I hope the government will take, and equally I expect that the government will bring construction sector under the GST, because right now they have kept out of the GST purview, because if the it has been brought into the GST system, then the transaction within the construction sector will be transparent, and through that cash transaction can be curbed, and through that probably the black money transaction may be substantially can curb it. Thank you very much.